What's up, IG? We're live. If I did this right, we're live. Multiple platforms. I just installed a new software called Livestream.io. That, at least from what I can tell so far, seems pretty bomb. What's up, Follow? What's up, Mr. Aman? What's up, Cole? So yeah, I want to talk today. You know, it's funny. You sit here and you're like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? And then you just don't go. You don't go live. I feel like it's such a metaphor for life. We sit there, we make plans, and we think, oh, I'm not prepared yet. I'm not prepared yet. We don't jump. Hey, what's up, Steven? On Facebook. Appreciate you being here. I've been sitting here for like 10 minutes getting ready to go live. What does it mean to get ready to go live? Being live is by definition something that happens in real time. So how do you get ready to do it? It's like saying, I'm going to get ready to be alive. No, you're already alive. So actually, getting ready to go live, which is what I've been sitting here doing for the last 10 minutes. Like, well, what am I going to talk about? Do I have anything to say? Do I have anything worthwhile today? If you're getting ready to go live, I think we can look at our whole life this way. Getting ready to go live is called being dead. If you think about it, well, I'm going to get ready to be live, to be alive? No, just be alive. That's be alive, be live, be alive, be live. This is alive, this is alive, right? It's so silly. And I'm talking to myself, this idea that, well, it has to be perfect. It has to be prepared. There are some things that need to be prepared. But man, at the end of the day, success loves speed. You know, growth happens as a function of momentum. All this time that we sit there, and what was it that I was really sitting here dealing with for 10 minutes? It wasn't a lack of preparation. You know, it's like the SEALs say, by the time you need to be prepared, it's too late to prepare. You're either prepared, you were meant to prepare 6 months ago. You were meant to prepare a year ago. You were meant to prepare 10 years ago. By the way, have we not learned this in light of the recent pandemic? By the time you need to be prepared, it's too late to prepare. Sorry, I've been eating these kale chips, and I think we can all agree that that's not a good look to have in your teeth. So I do need to prepare for it. Probably clean my teeth, right? But by the time you need to be prepared, it's too late to prepare, right? So what have I actually been sitting here for 10 minutes doing? Getting ready to be live? Anyways, so whatever. I made my point. What are we going to talk about today? So I had this feeling. In fact, it's been kind of a morning of dragging, not executing. And I was thinking about it. It's like when we slack, when we take time and we don't execute and we don't move purposefully towards our goals, what is really happening? It's like if imagine if the bank called you and they said, hey, Jeff, we had a little glitch and today you didn't actually earn any interest on your account. But don't worry, you'll have a shot tomorrow. Tomorrow we might start paying you interest again. You'd be pissed, right? You'd be pissed. You'd be like, you can't not pay me interest one day. You can't just decide. What's up, Zach? Appreciate you being here. We got all kinds of people coming on Instagram. The bank can't just decide to not pay you interest for one day, right? You'd be pissed. And yet, isn't success, isn't working hard, isn't building our life a function of compounding effort over time? And doesn't it create a compound curve just the same way interest does? So why are we so okay taking a day off in our life, but we would be pissed if the bank took a day off paying us interest? Because we think that money that is parked, that is passive, that somehow because of that we deserve a daily return, but ourselves, which are not parked, which shouldn't be parked, which are active, which are capable, which have energy, we think we get a day off. We expect our money to never take a day off, but yet we think we get a day off. Over time, what builds your life? Some money sitting in a bank generating interest, or you? And by the way, it's not either or. Ideally, you get a whole lot of both. You get a whole lot of human production and effort and forward movement, and you build that massive compounding curve in your life through your own efforts. And as you're doing that, you get money to park in a bank so that it feeds back too. But yet, just imagine if every day you have to go out and earn the interest to compound on the work that you've already done and to raise the base, because that's how compound interest works. That's why it's so powerful, right? You earn it, and then it goes back into the principal. So the next day, you earn interest on a little bit more than the previous day, right? That's how life works. Every day, you go out and you generate the interest to put back into the account so that the next day, you can generate a little bit more interest. You do that for years and years and years, and never mind about having money in the bank to make you rich. You will make yourself rich. But just like the bank, you should have an expectation that it is not gonna take a day off. Now, you can get in a cycle and you can have rest and recuperation as part of your cycle, because that's actually part of how the interest gets generated. But you can't slack. Don't slack. But don't kid yourself that a day of slack is an okay thing. I've been reading this. I pulled this out this morning. Every day I try to read a little bit of something. It's a great little book on mental toughness. What's up, Christopher? Appreciate you being here. On mental toughness from Harvard Business Review. It's nice because it's actually 10 articles. You can see it's not a very big book, and actually there's 10 articles in here. So you can read an article. I just read an article about a half hour ago because frankly, I was sitting here feeling like kind of a loser because I was slacking, and I felt like the bank had just called me and said, yeah, today we're not going to pay you your interest. That's how I felt, only I was the bank. I was calling myself saying, yeah, today you're not going to get your interest. You know, why? Because it's Friday? Because it's Friday? Friday, you know what Friday is? Friday is 20% of the work week. And you know, I actually like to get a lot done on the weekends too. But for most people, Friday is 20% of the work week. If your bank calls you up and says, yeah, we're going to cut your interest rate by 20%. I mean, in terms of what they pay you, not what you pay them. Or imagine they call you and say, hey, we just increased the interest rate on your mortgage by 20%. You owe us 20% more. You'd be pissed. 20% change compounded incrementally over time. That is a huge deal. So think about that before you tell yourself that because it's Friday, something is different. Anyways, I was talking to somebody yesterday about building a business on the internet, building a brand, building a personal brand. And they were saying, we were talking about how so many people out there, like podcasters and influencers and, you know, people that are trying to build a brand and people that are trying to grow a business, they have a tendency to kind of chase whatever the thing in front of them is, right? So they're like, oh, I'm going on a podcast this week, so I gotta have something to sell, or I gotta create a page, or I gotta have an offer, I gotta do a thing, I gotta make a pitch, and so the plan for the next week becomes get ready for that thing. And then the next week they're like, well, you know, I'm gonna go live in my Facebook group or something, so I gotta make an offer, I gotta have a plan, I gotta have a pitch, I gotta have a product, I gotta have a thing. And the next week becomes about getting ready for that thing. And week after week after week, it's just getting ready for whatever the thing is and trying to come up with something. And that's how most people do it. Most modern entrepreneurs, because we live in a world now where everything is so visual and so transparent. They're like, well, my job is to be an influencer. I mean, I think a lot of people have kind of gotten that memo that my job is to be an influencer. So I need to do the thing, at least entrepreneurs, right? They know that that's how you get awareness for your thing. So like this week, I'm going to go do this thing. Next week, I'm going to go do this thing. And it's a project-based existence for growing your business. Instead of what I've learned to do, frankly, a lot of this from my partner, and it's why in the last year, I've had more results in terms of building a structured growth vehicle, more of that than probably any year, probably even any 5 years prior to that, is you make a plan and you stick to the plan and you take the time to build the plan and execute the plan. And there's this constant tug for entrepreneurs. Hey, William, what's up, my man? Memorial Day? Is that this weekend? I truly don't know. I say that sincerely. I truly do not know when Memorial Day is, because I control my own time to the point where if somebody tells me it's a holiday, it genuinely doesn't change anything, right? Every day is a holiday. Every day is an opportunity to work. Every day is a choice, right? So anyway, if it's Memorial Day, happy Memorial Day weekend. Live and learn, right? So in terms of executing a plan, what you do is you make the best plan that you can and you stick to the plan. Now, as they say, no plan survives contact with the enemy. I get that. But once you get out there and you're in contact, not with the enemy, but with the market, which it's not your enemy, but it does present challenges, right? Once you're out there in the market getting feedback, but I appreciate all the hearts, by the way. Hey, William, okay, thanks for clarifying. I appreciate that, guys. And thanks for all the hearts on Instagram, all the chats. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're listening. Let me know what you think. I've got somebody commenting in a language that I don't speak. And man, I love the interaction, but unfortunately I can't translate it, but it's great that you're here. But anyways, so you go out into the market, you get feedback on your plan, you adapt your plan. But the problem is people, because they realize you have to adapt the plan a little, it's like they never stop. And so I look at all of these entrepreneurs now, and they have their Instagram profile, and they have their Facebook page, and they have maybe their YouTube channel, and they have their funnel, and they have their website, and maybe they started a podcast, maybe they have they're trying to get a speaking gig, maybe they're writing a book, and they're doing all this stuff, but it's not all part of a plan. And the way that I look at being an entrepreneur in the modern world is this. It's like a tree, right? And forgive me, this is my best attempt at illustrating a tree. And everybody's all worried about the branches, right? I got my book, I got my podcast, I got my sales funnel, I got my speaking gig, I got my offer, I got my whatever, my free giveaway, I got all my stuff, all these branches, right? Well, what happens if you have 10 different branches that aren't connected to a trunk? You just got a bunch of dead sticks, right? And so I see so many business people now out there like, I gotta create this branch, I gotta create this branch, I gotta create this branch, I gotta create this branch. But they never built the trunk. They didn't take the time to invest in a singular, linear, powerful process, call it the fundamentals, that allows all these branches to feed into a machine that can build true wealth, not generate income, build wealth. I'm talking in business terms. You have to invest in the trunk that builds wealth. I've been online now. I've been online since 2008. So what was that? 12 years. But in particular, in the last couple of years, I said, I am tired of building branches. Greetings from Sweden. What's up, my friend? Appreciate you being here. I said, I'm tired of growing more offshoot branches. I want to build a trunk. I want to build a trunk that is so massive, so powerful that it could survive any storm. And I'm grateful that this pandemic happened. That may sound like a terrible thing to say. I'm grateful in terms of my personal business, in terms of getting a mirror held up to give me the feedback. It doesn't mean I'm glad it was a pandemic, but I'm grateful for some sort of a black swan event to tell me that my trunk is solid and my roots are deep. And if you haven't experienced that in the last few months, I'm going to encourage you that this is the solution. You can start now doing the work. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is right now. Well, literally, I'm talking about growing a tree. If you didn't do it before, now is the time to do the work to grow a tree with roots and a trunk that it will weather any storm. And so, hey, Rob, what's up, my man? And so in the last basically 2 years, September 2018, so it's been almost 2 years, I just had this, hey, what's up, Bite the Hype? That must be Ashley. So I just had this awareness about 2 years ago that was like, I am growing too many branches and I am not growing deep enough roots. And my branches are not connected to my root system by a solid enough trunk. I had a sapling of a business. And so 2 years ago, I started doing essentially doing this, right? Creating value, building an audience, building low-grade awareness. The trunk starts out as a seed. Yes, I planted a seed, planted one single seed. And I remember, frankly, when is a tree most vulnerable? It's when it's just a seed, just started to sprout, right? And I first started to sprout, and I got all these people taking shots at me. I had people making fun of me. I had people trying to tear me down because a lot of times we don't like to see, it's that crab that's just starting to crest the lip of the pot, and it's about to get out, and the other crabs start pulling at it, right? And I was just starting to crest the lip of the pot, and man, people were taking shots. There's a lot of Indian people here. Well, actually, are there? I don't know. I see a lot of a language I don't speak. I don't know if that's derivative from there. And so the point is, I did that for almost a year. Never sold anything. I had these other things I was doing, and that's hilarious. The Indian people are cussing. That's great. Anyway, I was doing this, all this. I had some other things that basically allowed me to survive and pay some bills, but man, I wanted to build the tree. I wanted to plant it strong and grow it firm. And for almost a year, didn't sell anything. And then late summer, I said, let me just see. I said, I know how to do a few things. Let me see if this audience that I've started to develop might have any interest. And I did that, and it worked. Some people did, and it went well. And anyways, long story short, now I'm in the process of growing what I believe I have these trees in my yard, and we live in it gets really windy sometimes, but they're at an age now, planted them years ago, where it's like when I hear the wind blowing outside, I know I'm not going to go outside and walk out to a snapped tree. I just know that they're strong enough now. And that's kind of where you want to get with business. And that's my point here, that the two things that it requires, I believe, to get there is, one, you can't take days off. Like I said, if you're trying to build something that is going to produce a life less ordinary for yourself, you can't take days off. I wish you could. I wish I could sometimes. You just can't. But it's worth it. Is it worth living for 2 years or 5 years or 10 years at a level of consistent exertion that most people will never achieve, much less sustain, in order to have an entirety of a life that is like most people never have? Is it worth it? I'm here to tell you, I believe it's totally worth it. And so, it is what it is. You just got to do the work. And that's, actually, I'll share this with you. In fact, let me pull it up, because I had somebody come on, message me yesterday, or I don't know if it was last night or this morning. This is what they said. It was on Facebook. I have an education company. I teach people how to, what I call, build digital real estate, which is essentially my approach to internet-based business that says, basically it's like, don't chase money. Don't do what I'm talking about. Don't chase the branches. Build the trunk, right? Grow your roots. And that's my approach to internet business, digital real estate. And I have a digital real estate training company. And somebody sent me this message. So bear with me. I'm going to tell you what they sent me. Where is it? They said, oh yeah, here it is. It was a lady who said, "Good morning, Jeff. I've watched several of your videos. I really like your candor, and I appreciate the information you're sharing. I'm also looking for a reliable way to learn how to create my own online business, and I'm basically one click from signing up for your course. I do have one question that gives me pause in your disclaimer. I do understand the need to disclaim that not everyone can expect to be as successful as you. However, one line in particular bothered me. It states, this is what it states. This is in our disclaimer. Expect that you will not achieve exceptional results." She said, "Why should I expect that? Or why should I?" So let me say it again. Essentially, she was asking, she's like, why would you say expect that you will not achieve exceptional results? I'm going to answer that question that somebody just asked, a great question in Facebook. Here's what I answered, though, because this is ultimately, as soon as I wrote this answer, I'm like, that's what I'm going to talk about later on in my life. I said, the word exceptional is itself the answer to your question. It means the exception, not the norm. And I tend to err on the side of candor. I'd rather tell people to expect to be average, because most people are. That's why it's the average. And then have them prove me wrong. I've spent the last 12 years proving that it's possible, but any statistician can tell you it's not probable. It's up to each person who they want to be in this world, and I'm not going to BS anyone by acting like it's easy. Thanks for your question. That's the no frills answer. Whether you go forward or not, I'm more interested that if ever my name comes up, you can say, that's the guy that tells it like it is. Listen, you do not get to expect to be exceptional. You have to go prove that you're exceptional. And you have to get really, really clear that when you're proving that you're exceptional, you are leaving average behind. Which means there will be some people who feel left behind because most people comprise the average. Makes sense, right? When you get to where you should, in other words, I'll say this, you actually can expect to be exceptional, but that expectation must be built on a base of knowing that you'll do wildly unusual things, that you'll go to wildly unusual lengths and exertion to do what most people won't do. If you know that about yourself and you've proved it to yourself through consistent execution, not just a one-time thing, I got all pumped up and I went for it. No, I'm talking day after day after day. I'm talking the slow burn, the grind, that core that's unshakable. When you prove that to yourself over a long enough period of time, you earn the right to expect to be the exception. Until then, don't go looking to anybody else to tell you, frankly, to tell you what to expect at all. I'd rather tell people to expect not to be exceptional just so they can't say that I ever told them to expect that they will. You know, to me, it's like, when I got started doing this digital real estate thing, and I didn't have that language for it. Pedro, hi, I'm 15 years old. Is it possible for me to make money on your program? It is possible for anyone to make money on my program because my program is just education. That's like saying, I'm not saying this to be belittling. I'm just saying I teach things. It's like saying I'm 14. Is it possible for me to remove an appendix if I go to medical school? Yeah, it doesn't matter how old you are. Just matters if you implement what you learn. And now, admittedly, we have some rules around minors. Like if you decide to buy any of our mid or higher level trainings, you'll have to have your parents' permission. But in terms of implementing education about how to build digital real estate and how to make money on the internet, it doesn't care. It's the most fair, equal opportunity business in history, right? It literally, most of the time, doesn't even know. It's not only that it doesn't care that you're old, or it doesn't care that you're young, or it doesn't care that you're gay, or it doesn't care that you're straight. It literally doesn't know. Nobody knows, right? Anyways, I think you get my point here. Yeah, I think that's it. I think you get my point. I think, world, I'm going to go do some work because this is what I needed. By the way, people think I do this for the world. I do this for me. And I appreciate that other people seem to get some benefit from it. Rob, I appreciate you, man. I do this for me. This is what I needed. I told you the bank called me this morning and said they weren't going to pay me my interest because I was sitting on my ass. And that's a metaphor, obviously. Well, I'm excited to say they just called me and they said the interest is turned back on, which means it's time for me to go do some work. Thank you, world. I'll catch you next time.